There are lots and lots of different teachings. Lots and lots of different teachings. You may be aware of that. You might be aware that there are a few different ways that liberation is spoken of. Some people who teach or talk about liberation say there's no such thing as liberation. And others say there is liberation and that you've got to want it really, really badly in order to get it. Some of you might have heard the story that you need to desire liberation as much as somebody who's submerged underwater, drowning, desires to breathe air. And you might have heard the teaching that the seeking is what gets in the way. So lots of different teachings. And some of them are right for you at a particular point in time, and vice versa. See, desire for liberation, for example, is important because otherwise you give up. Without that desire, as soon as the first hurdle comes along, you give up because you don't really want it. You don't really want liberation. You know, you're interested, you know, maybe you've met some people who are interested a little bit in liberation or enlightenment teachings or self-realization or Buddhism or whatever it is, non-duality, Advaita. But you know, they're not really that interested. They kind of say, yeah, it's nice stuff. And then that's it, you know. So if you don't have that sort of what is called the burning desire for liberation, in Sanskrit, mumukshutva. Mumukshutva means burning desire for liberation. You really, really want it. Unless you have that, especially at the beginning, it's very difficult to progress on the path because you just are not interested, essentially. And if you're not interested, it doesn't work. None of these teachings are of any use unless the seeker is interested in looking at them, being open to them. But later on, it just gets in the way. Once we realize there's no self, that there just is what is, and it's all one. Or you can't even say one, it's beyond words. Then the seeking just gets in the way. So what was true for someone at the beginning of the journey, that you need to desire it strongly, becomes perhaps not true later on for that same person. That's just one example. And there's so many things like that on the spiritual path, so many confusions, which is why I'm delighted to be able to hold these kinds of meetings. And we can be very grateful to the internet and all the associated technology and infrastructure that allows us to meet online like this. Because just by asking questions or just by being here at the meeting and sharing the energy and being open to that, being open to God, to the source, your mind being open, your body being open to your thoughts and feelings, we can discover something that is incredibly precious. Because I assume this is true for everyone in the call, because you're interested in the teachings, because you're interested in healing, because you're interested in spiritual growth, let's say, because you're interested in liberation, there's a willingness, to a greater or lesser extent, depending on who you are, there's a willingness to be open to what we could call the teachings. Now, the teachings, I use that in a very broad sense. So it's not just someone like Tom speaking or reading it in a book, but it's the unspoken, non-verbal teaching that's present every moment. It's always present. It's present every moment, everywhere. So in this sense, the teaching or the teacher is always with us, because it's just life, or you could say God, teaching constantly. But are you up to it? Are you open to it? Now, many people want to be open to it, but they don't know how to be open to it. They don't know how to listen. So that's one thing that this meeting can kind of do. We can kind of reveal the inner teacher, so you don't need to rely on outer teachers. And then the inner teacher, or the teacher that's always with us, it's not necessarily inside us, it's everywhere. But the teacher that's always with us, that's what I mean by the inner teacher, will show us the way. So it doesn't matter what's happening in your life, it doesn't matter how confused you are, you will have direct access to the teacher, the teaching that will be guiding you, that will tell you whether you need to have more desire for liberation, for example, or will tell you if you need to let go of the desire for liberation when it's right for you.